Hello and welcome to the Living by Disney podcast. On today's show, we are going to talk about this week's news, including all of the Halloween plans that are coming later this fall. We've got a special guest on to talk about a countdown to Tiana's Bayou adventure. We're almost there. Let's get to it.
Welcome to the Living by Disney podcast. Your home for all things Orlando. News, reviews, and real talk. Helping make your visit to Disney World just a little more magical. Now, here's your host, Serena Lynn.
Hello and welcome to the show. I've got Drew and Louisa with me in the studio. Hello.
Hello.
And I've got a special guest for you guys today I'm very excited about that pertains directly to the topic of Tiana's Bayou adventure is my good friend Gavin Doyle from MickeyVisit. Hey, Gavin.
Serena and Drew and Louisa, it's great to be with all of you talking about something that's been a long time coming, and we're almost there, as you said, very close to opening of Tiana's Bayou adventure.
Yes, we were saying before we recorded, we've been saying we're almost there for a little bit now, but it's really right. Actually true now. We're really close.
It's really actually true, and it's amazing how quickly they've turned it around from when the attractions closed. So you have to give it to them. They're delivering something of really high quality. We'll talk about that in just a little bit.
Yeah.
They did it pretty quickly with the install side, so that part's exciting to see that they're capable of that.
So let me just introduce you guys to Gavin in case you aren't familiar with him. This is his second time on our podcast, but the first time since we've been video, which is really cool. Gavin is joining us from California where he lives. He is the owner and founder of MickeyVisit.com, which is an amazing resource to save you tons of money and time on all of your Disney vacations and Disney Cruise Line, as well as he's a published author of Disneyland Secrets. Remind us again of how old you were when you published that book.
That was a little while ago now. I was 16 years old when I wrote Disneyland Secrets.
That is so incredibly cool to me that when most kids are like, I don't know, not publishing books, you were really starting out on your career and getting somewhere with it, and obviously super passionate about Disney parks. We've done a lot of media events together. When I say Gavin's my friend, like he's truly my friend. It's not just like one of those like, my friend sort of things people say online. But we've done a lot of media events together. And one of the things that I love about you is that you are first and foremost a fan. You're a true Disney fan of the parks and the product and the company. And I just love that about you.
Absolutely. You have to start there to bring real coverage. And it didn't start as a business. It started as a way to connect with people and share my own kind of same passion. So it's all just grown from there.
Yeah, that's the best way to start something like this, I feel like. And when somebody is a true fan and really loves what they're talking about, it shines through in the coverage. I believe that 100%. Before we get into Tiana's Bayou adventure, and Gavin is going to tell us about his behind the scenes look at some of the actual like real-time ride creation process. First, we're going to do a little segment and talk about this week's news. We are going to be talking all things Halloween because we got all of the news on the spooky season. It is the halfway to Halloween, sort of. They were a little late, but it's fine. We are officially ready to start the Halloween season, and Mickey's Not So Scary Party is returning. So if you have any Disney stuff on your social media, you've been hearing it, boo to you. Like I said, we love that song so much. It's all stuck in our heads at this point. We still have a little while to start, but here at Disney World, our Halloween season starts very early in August. So the parties will begin August 9th through October 31st of this year. And ticket prices are $119 to $199, depending on when you go. There are discounts available. There's different, discounts. Usually like the earlier you go in the season, there's more discounts available. Typically it's about $10 off, and they go on sale May 8th. They went on sale for resort guests, and May 15th for everyone. It's not usually a super difficult party ticket to get. So it's nice to get it early and know you have it if you're sure on your dates. But unless you're going to go to the one that is actually on October 31st or the first one, typically those are the only ones that really have any danger of selling out fairly quickly. I know you've been to the party, Gavin. What's your favorite part of the event?
I love the Hocus Pocus show, and I actually was just rewatching that this week. I also had a really fun time. I love meeting the Seven Dwarfs back there, both at this party and the Christmas party.
Yeah.
And think that that's just such a unique photo opportunity. And I mean, there's so many little character moments that are just bringing the park to life in a different way. I love just the fog on the water over there near the Haunted Mansion, and the makeup there. So hard to pick a favorite, but I just love the spooky energy that brings. Even though it starts in super hot August, it's still, feels like fall.
It does, yeah. I love it so much. And of course, Disneyland has Oogie Boogie Bash, which is an incredible event as well. And if you've not been to that, I highly recommend you check that one out if you're looking to go to the West Coast for the Halloween. You guys start yours a little bit later, right? Not quite so early?
This year, more dates than ever, and starting in August for the first time. So not quite as early as Disney World, but have expanded quite a bit along with the expansion of Halloween time in general. It's continued to be one of those popular times. It's something we've been expecting for a while coming out of COVID, and it's now the first time they've stretched it all the way into August.
That makes sense. Yeah, because it's hugely popular and those tickets are hard to get. Unlike ours, there's just not as many of them, right?
That's right.
All right, so we'll put the dates up on the party so you can check it out. It's August, September, October. So when it first starts in August and September, it's usually 3 times a week. And then as it goes into October, the party goes 4 times a week. There's a few things that are new this year. In general, the event will be pretty much what we've been expecting. There are 5 small changes. So Mickey and Minnie have new outfits.
Yeah.
They're
And it
super
sounds
cute.
like they're meeting together. Don't they normally only Mickey meets in the theater and Minnie has been in the circus area?
Yeah.
So it's nice that you can get a picture with them together.
Yeah, and they're matching.
Yeah.
Like little matching outfits, like neon spider web, they call it, which very cute. The one we're excited about
Oh, man.
is more villain sightings. So if we are all about the villains on the show. Like we just feel like more Disney villains is always a good idea. They're just so hugely popular. And this is what Disney says, okay? They say, from the moment the party begins, throughout Magic Kingdom, you'll be able to spot your favorite sinister villains. Who knows, you might even get a selfie with them.
Okay. I feel like I am really making the most of that little
dreaming
sentence
big.
there. So here's my prediction based on absolutely nothing but my wildest dreams and speculation.
Okay.
Is that normally when you enter Magic Kingdom and you go to the party, they have the big omnibus and you go kind of behind Main Street and that starts the party. And so it says from the moment you step into the party. So I am expecting, hoping, dreaming, praying for something like the villain walk. Normally they have those pumpkin bronze statues there. I want it to be like the villain walk at Oogie Boogie Bash. And this is also my official beginning of the campaign for Disney World to bring Ernesto de la Cruz to Disney World. So they didn't say anything about this is like wild speculation. No basis on this except
Except what we hope.
Yeah. And so I am hoping that as soon as you walk in, they kind of transform that area and it's like a big villains moment to start the party off. And then it sounds like there'll be villains wandering, which is very cool and very like if it's like that, if it lives up to that, that will be a huge change. Right when I was like, oh, I've done the party a few times. Do I need to do it? And then this announcement came and I was like, well, here I go.
Yeah.
Here we go.
That's how they get you. That's why we keep coming back.
Okay, sorry. There's more changes, but
Well, Gavin, can you talk really quickly about how Oogie Boogie Bash does their treat trails? Because I think it's so good.
I don't want to hear it. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
It's too bittersweet.
Talk about your treat trails.
How great they are.
Well, starting off, I think they're very different audiences. And so at Oogie Boogie Bash, they're pulling out these rare characters that are catering to, locals and people in Southern California who want to make this trip and make it their special Halloween moment. So they had like Judge Doom from Who Framed Roger Rabbit last year and the villain from Big Hero 6. And a couple of other like more rare characters in addition to their favorites. And so they're up there on this stage and then your treat trail winds by them. So it makes it's much more of an experience of you're seeing a character and you're getting candy and you're winding through, and it's not like you're lining up for a picture so you're in this long line. It's instead just like almost an atmospheric entertainment, and you kind of walk by and enjoy, as opposed to just maybe take a selfie, maybe take a video, but it's not much of a line in that moment.
Yeah. I love the way they do that. And I love that it gives you opportunity to observe them interacting with other people as well, because that's just getting to see them in their element. Like, that's what we all want. So, yeah.
It also makes it a little different than like lean in for a photo.
Yeah. It's so much more personal. I don't know. It's just a more quality experience.
It feels more natural. Like, I feel like that's like the one thing here at Walt Disney World we had that they kind of tested once the parks first reopened from COVID, was like more of like the character sightings, where it feels like you're in their world and they're not just there like, oh yeah, let's grab a picture. It's like they're actually there in their environment naturally, and we're kind of coming across them.
Yeah. It's a lot more organic.
Yeah. And like Gavin said, it also gets rid of the line. Like, you're not spending 2 hours out of, a 3-hour party or whatever.
Yeah.
Waiting.
Who would do that?
Yeah, it's not
Yeah, that's so crazy.
Jack and Sally at Magic Kingdom?
Certainly
No,
not us. Never. But yeah, I'm very excited to see what they do with that, but maybe we'll kind of pull a little bit of what's working over at Disneyland. That would be
and they
awesome.
they tested that, because when I was at not so scary Very Merry, when I was at Very Merry getting a content for our video we did, they had the toy soldiers from the parade back in that spot that Louisa talked about. And I'm wondering if that was kind of like a test to be like,
yes,
what
feed
goes on,
fuel my fantasy.
When you started talking about your Halloween idea, my mind instantly went to Very Merry. Because they had characters back there, and they had the line for the toy soldiers, and it was really good. It's like started off like the second you walk in. So
You heard it here.
Yeah. We can do this. We can make it work. All right. A few other new things. There's a Descendants dance party that's based on the Descendants movie. I guess there's a new one coming out, or will have come out by then. They're adding a Bruno meet and greet. And so you'll be able to meet Bruno and Mirabelle in the Fairy Tale Garden. And then one kind of cool little change is that the Bayou parade, which happens twice normally at every party, the first one they're moving up earlier, an hour earlier. So it'll actually start at 8:15 instead of 9:15. So that'll be nice if you have little ones, you don't want to stay up quite as late. You can catch that parade a little bit earlier in your evening. I think that'll kind of make the event flow a little better. Overall, I think it's going to be a great event. It's always like, it's a super popular time to visit. Like we mentioned in our last show, it will still be hot. So if you didn't catch our last episode about summer survival,
if you go in August, just be prepared to fight for your life.
Yeah.
But but so worth it.
It's so worth it. And at least it's after dark.
Yeah, that's true.
That helps a lot.
you will need a vacation from your vacation.
Yes, but it's so worth it. Such a great event. That's going to do it for our news. We're going to have a quick word from our partners, and we'll be right back to talk about Tiana's. Let me just take a quick moment and tell you about our partners, Mickey Travels. Mickey Travels is a diamond level travel agency, which is the highest level that there is, that Disney only gives to a small handful of agencies. So they really are one of the best. That diamond level even gives them their own phone line to Disney for direct access to help their clients. Now, if you're watching or listening to this, you probably understand that there is so much that goes into planning a vacation that's right for your family, and Mickey Travels can help with all of those details. From dining reservations to resort recommendations, booking special event tickets, to all of those magical extras like photo sessions, tours, or building a lightsaber. They book Disney Cruise Line, Adventures by Disney, even Alani in Hawaii. If Disney offers it, they can help you book it and get the best price possible. And here's the best part. Mickey Travel's top-notch service won't cost you a thing. There are very few actual free things at Disney, but unlike other agencies, they won't charge any extra planning fees. So using them is completely free to you. I use Mickey Travels personally for all of my Disney vacations, including my trip to Italy last year with Adventures by Disney and all of my Disney cruises, and it is truly so helpful. So whether you're dreaming of seeing the castle fireworks, setting sail on a Disney cruise, or even traveling the world on a guided tour, reach out to Mickey Travels and let their team help you get started today. Welcome back to the show. It is time to count down to Tiana's Bayou adventure. We have been talking about this attraction for quite a while, and we have some fun little details that we're going to get into to kind of get us excited and get us ready for this brand new ride. It's a really big deal. It's super exciting for a lot of us, especially if you're a Disney fan, if you're a Disney Imagineering fan. Oh, you're going to eat this up. It's so good. So Gavin, you got an opportunity just recently to go to Walt Disney and Imagineering. So tell us about that. Tell us everything.
Yeah, so it's a very rare opportunity that I was given to show up in Glendale, California, which is a set of nondescript buildings. You'd have no idea if you're going past unless you notice the little name tag shaped building number or address number. And you step inside and there's Disney music playing and there's a very nice security guard and a highlight reel of Disney parks around the world. And that's the world headquarters of the designers who imagine and engineer, so Imagineer, the Disney parks, attractions, resorts all around the world. And it's a very special place. You can feel the creative energy kind of boiling over and everything happening in this one place. It was buzzing the day that I was there and days that I've been there recently, and just felt this sense of, energy and excitement talking about both Tiana's and about other future expansions just in general around the Disney park. So really exciting just to be there and the energy's there, and excited to kind of dive in a little deeper and share you more.
That must have been cool. So they don't typically open this up for people. So they were probably excited as well to have like media get to come in and actually they get to kind of show off a little, right?
Definitely. So they were excited to show off. There is one way, and I'll throw this in because we passed them. There is an Adventures by Disney that does include a stop nearby or a stop in. So we passed a tour, and they were, all really excited to be there also. But that was something that I've never done, and it was really exciting to get to be there and be on this tour. And we went inside and saw just some amazing details, met great leaders of Imagineering and of the company in general, and then also went through and saw the sculpture area where they work on different figures and different models in the model shop, and then also went into the audio animatronics area. But I think before that, I'd love to share a little bit about the special guest that kind of wowed us as we kicked off. I was just kind of blown away by who we first got to meet with.
Yes, definitely. Please tell us all about it.
Yeah, we were walking in and sat down, and I thought it was just going to be kind of a brief introduction. I assumed we'd hear from the head of the project who was going to be talking about Tiana's Bayou Adventure. But then the head of PR for Imagineering stood up and she said, "We're excited now to introduce the executive leadership, Bob Iger and Josh D'Amaro." And I'm sitting there in the front row of, a pretty small room. And 4 feet from them, Iger and D'Amaro came out, who I have been fortunate enough to spend some time and hear from before, but getting to be in this room and hear their excitement. And for the first time since they announced that $60 billion investment, first time I've heard them and Iger specifically just talk about parks and his goals. It was really just exciting to see his confidence, his excitement, and just like the pure joy that they both clearly had being in Imagineering.
Yeah. It is really cool. I mean, they're leaders for a reason. I think when, you get an opportunity to be in a room with some people like that, it reminds you of why they're in the position that they're in, but also the confidence that they get to talk about it. But I'm sure they were excited too, because this is kind of their first opportunity again to really like talk about this in a room full of people that are going to appreciate like what they're talking about.
Absolutely. And I think they are just, what Iger said was, this is one of my favorite places, if not my favorite place in the company to spend time. And I wish I could just be here all the time talking about new attractions and rides. And they were actually coming from a creative review just moments before of some of the new work that's further out. That definitely wasn't Tiana's Bayou Adventure related. That was likely related to things that we will hear at D23 in August, which is very exciting.
Yes.
That's a whole other, I know there's so much, and clearly there is so much going on, and it still felt like they're finally out of COVID and they're finally restarted. And we haven't gotten to see the kind of fruits of that labor yet, but to know that labor is happening, it was just exciting to be there kind of at this high energy moment. So just in general, Imagineering, it was a special feeling. And you're in this room where all along the sides, there's all artwork of, previous projects. And on the other side, here are the site plans for every resort around the world. And you can just kind of blue sky think about, wow, there is so much to come, and so much that they're clearly dreaming on.
Yeah. And we know that there's a lot in the pipeline that they're talking about, and they are definitely getting a lot more serious with their hard facts about things, right? And of course, we expect more of that to come, like you said, in D23, which we have in August. That's usually when we get big news, and hopefully we'll get some really exciting stuff there. But so tell us about the sort of, I guess, main part of the tour was kind of really getting a look into the ongoing work for Tiana's Bayou adventure, right?
Yeah, so we didn't really know exactly what we were seeing. We were promised kind of a look behind the curtain Imagineering, and so we went into a facility where they work on audio animatronics. And first, it was amazing just to see the finishes and the design sheets that say kind of, here's the fabric samples we're going to pull in, and just like you could see like the inspiration they were using for designing of clothing and design of fluidity of movement. And then we walked kind of further and we went into this space where they had staged all of the audio animatronics, or many of the audio animatronics coming to the new attraction, fully operating, fluid, just a wow moment, which they clearly had at their sleeve, because every person who had worked on this event was pretty giddy to get to see our reactions, and it was amazing. I mean, seeing the scale, the fluidity, the emotion coming from these figures' faces just has me so excited to see what they're like kind of in the ride experience itself. So there's so many different things that we got to see in all the different characters, but in general, it all
absolutely
looks so great, and just like the next generation.
They look like kind of mind-blowingly good. I mean, I don't know a lot about the technology. I know these are supposed to be like, what is the
A1000 figure?
A1000. So it's like this upper level, a type of audio animatronic that we don't really have a lot of. So that, I guess, just what they can do now is just so cool. We don't really get to see, most of the audio animatronics that we have in the parks have been made quite some time ago. We have the shaman lady from Navi River Journey. We have Hondo that from Smuggler's Run. They're kind of like definitely higher level things, but just from the time that they did them to now, there's been a lot of advancement, it seems, right?
I think it's been interesting that this will also be one of the first times we get to see the animated characters that they kind of create. First time we'll see them using things from animation, and kind of these classic princess characters using this figure. At least in the US, this is actually the same or similar technology to what they put into the Frozen boat ride in Hong Kong, which opened up. So when we first saw those reveal, it was like, wow, this will be really cool to see in person. And then seeing them in person, they really did deliver. So, I mean, just amazing. And we saw a lot of different varieties. So there'll be we saw a Mama Odie figure. We saw a number of different Tiana figures. Lottie, who's her best friend from the movie. There was also one where she was hidden in a black case we couldn't see the figure. Prince Naveen next to her is in a tuxedo, and there's a figure connected to his hand that's hidden. So my guess is that that's the finale, where we will see her in a Princess Tiana outfit, which I don't think many people have talked about. People are worried. Had worried that we were going to only get to see the adventure. They know it's a Princess Tiana. They know what people want to see. So I think we'll see a Princess Tiana in her beautiful gown in a finale scene, is my prediction based on that kind of thing that wasn't talked about, but we walked by. So
okay.
Just in general, I think that's coming.
That would be cool. Yeah. It's nice to see. I mean, we got her in her new outfit. They started a new character meal with Tiana here at Grand Floridian that we reviewed a couple episodes ago, called 1900 Park Fair. And she's in her new outfit for this Bayou adventure, which is like her little like explorer outfit, which is super cute. But I think we all like to see, we like to have for the princesses to have their moment, right? With their pretty gowns and stuff.
Sure. Yeah.
That's so cool.
And I think that takes us nicely to a couple things on this, that it just to call out that the attraction is still the same great thrilling attraction as a baseline. So we still, if you loved Splash Mountain, you still have the great experience of the drop and the boat ride itself. There's still a great thrill there. But now you have next level audio animatronics, a ton of original music and, you know, re-recorded music that tells this great story from the movie, which I mean, I really am thrilled that this is coming in, because I loved the movie when it came out and wish that there were more representation of the park. So exciting to have that. And just in general, this kind of new story, new authenticity, new representation of this really fun princess movie in the park. So I think people are going to love it, because even if you just came in and rode it as a log ride, the log ride's fun. And then layer in this whole new technology, new storytelling, brings just this great new element on top of this attraction.
Absolutely. I mean, we know it's going to be a great ride. I don't think there's any doubt about that. I think it's going to be fabulous, just because the bones of the attraction they're putting it on are great. I mean, even if they didn't really do much theming with it, it would still be a fun ride. But I think the fact that they're clearly, they're not phoning this in. This isn't something where they are just like, oh, we're just going to slap a new cover on this thing and call it a day. Like they've, you know, you even went, the last time we had you on the show was because you had gone to New Orleans on one of their like research trips for this ride.
That's right. So another group of us got to go and join Disney Parks and the Imagineering team that went on a research trip where they were kind of understanding, and it was one of many trips they made to New Orleans, understanding the roots of the stories themselves and the city, to try and bring great representation and authenticity of the city to the ride itself. And it really was just first of all, it was an amazing trip to get to see the way that Disney is so revered. And I think the reason they were revered by all these institutions was because so much work was done to bring in authentic understanding of Mardi Gras and bring in, you know, real understanding of the food and the culture and what the meaning of that art was to the people of New Orleans. And now they'll go to Disney World and Disneyland and see this attraction, and they'll be able to see themselves in it. And I think what happens when you make a authentic ride or a representative ride, people don't quite have a finger on why they enjoy something so much or why something's believable or grounded. It's just that the fact that the music is by someone who's from there and there's little twists in it that would happen in real life, it makes it feel a lot more real and connected and like a kind of grounded story, because it has that specificities that you can only have come from authenticity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the layers that Disney does so well, right?
Yeah, I got a little bit to add on to this.
Yeah.
Like this, everyone knows that this is like the main attraction I care about, but
yeah,
just
Drew spends a lot of time kind of like
documenting
documenting the progress on this ride.
I don't know if it's a good thing that I've been to Magic Kingdom 39 times this year to document it, but like just adding on to like what Gavin said about like the authenticity of it. I think one of my favorite things about it is Stella Chase Reese, the daughter of Leah Chase, who was the inspiration for Princess Tiana, was an official honorary Imagineer on this entire project. So they literally brought in the family of the inspiration for Princess Tiana to make sure that they were getting that right, but not only just like what Gavin said with the whole New Orleans side of it. So like there's so many other things here too, like Terrence Blanchard did the trumpet work for Louis the Alligator in The Princess and the Frog, and they brought him back to do the cue music, which is all, like Gavin said earlier, it's all reimagined New Orleans songs. So you're bringing the person back from the movie who is doing New Orleans music, and it's also New Orleans songs by New Orleans musicians. It's like there's so many full circle moments, I would say, with this thing that like I don't see how I couldn't like it at this point.
Yeah. I think they definitely they went above and beyond to really get those additional details for that authentic experience.
Yeah. And just like adding on to the queue here, I'm sorry, I love all the details on this thing so much, but in the queue line, there's going to be a radio show where Tiana is basically going to be setting up like the entire story. And she's going to be talking to us like, hey, we have this missing ingredient and this is why I need you guys. And that's where we're going to have all the music. And the radio that they're basing it on, like the audio quality or the way the audio is going to be heard is through like a 1920s Arvin radio. And we're at the salt mine in 1927. So it's like even down to the little details of what we're going to be hearing is accurate to the 1920s, which is when we're visiting. And all the musicians, there's so many little things that I could talk about this stuff for hours, honestly, but we're not here for that. We're kind of here just to talk about, like, why are we excited for it?
Yeah.
Well, I think that's such a big part of it is that like when you're a Disney fan, it's so satisfying to see the lengths they go to see that the weather vane on top was created by a master blacksmith in New Orleans, the mural that you can see now that's been painted was painted by an artist from New Orleans, and it really brings it alive. And I think what makes so much sense about this story and this ride is that unlike so many other princesses, like Tiana is more accessible or more like you can feel
Tiana
that
seems
she's
more relatable. I feel
she's a more exactly. She's more relatable in that she is a woman with a dream and an entrepreneur, and she has to work to get what she wants. And so like seeing her in this next stage of her story, it is happily ever after, but not in the way that it was when I was a little girl. And it just feels more real. And I think all the characters that they created and all their different personalities and her outfit and the Imagineer, the woman who works in costuming who created her outfit and the inspiration she got from her mother and in that time period, like all of these details come together. So whether you're a fan of The Princess and the Frog or not, you're experiencing something that is just so seamless. And the people like us who are going to ride it 50 times, there'll be something new for us to discover every time we go on for years to come, it feels like.
Yeah, and I know you guys already mentioned it, but I know so many people love Splash Mountain. Like that's like the elephant in the room with this attraction, I feel, is it replaced Splash Mountain. But I think the big thing for me personally is I love to follow like every little detail, which everyone knows. But the main thing is the Imagineers, like who is working on this project. And the executive creative director, Ted Robledo, he did an interview with Lou Mongello, which you guys know. And he was talking about basically how, like you said, they have the bones of this incredible structure. Like the ride track is still there, the thrills are still there. And it's how do you move something new into that? And he said that like his visits to Epcot in 1982 with like Figment and the Country Bears and those original characters is what made him want to bring that originality aspect to this attraction. So it's like, yes, is the attraction as a whole based around the Princess and the Frog? Absolutely. There's no denying that. But the attraction itself has so much originality in it, like what the Disney parks became so successful for from the very beginning. Like if you look at Disneyland, the entire thing was original. All of the attractions were original. And that's what made Disney Disney. We would not be sitting here right now without originality. And the fact that the creative team was so adamant about bringing originality to an attraction like this in an area that we usually don't see stuff like that anymore, where they're creating over 20 new original characters for one ride. It's like, whoa.
It is crazy.
And they've revealed so much already, but there's still so much left to be seen, which is, we're going to be getting soon, but
very soon.
To say I'm excited would be an understatement.
Yeah. Yeah. Now they're building this attraction in Disneyland, correct? So where are they at with the progress there?
Well, they closed in January of last year, end of January at Walt Disney World, and then they closed in May, June at Disneyland. So, naturally a couple months behind. And I think we'll hopefully see them shorten that gap of time for between the Walt Disney World opening and the Disneyland opening. But that likely puts us at the end of summer at the earliest, tour into October at the latest. I'm sure that a water ride opening in California, they don't want to open it later than October, so they're doing whatever they can. They'll also want to have it before the beginning of Halloween. So their prime date would be somewhere, August, September. At this point, I don't think it's up to, the marketing strategy team as much as it is the actual work of just getting construction done. But I'm sure that they're really pushing on a timeline to drive it to a point so that it's not opening in December, which it does get a little cooler in Disneyland. A December water ride wouldn't make a ton of sense.
Yeah.
Like Gavin said, I think they're kind of like, all right, we've got one of these just about done.
Right.
Without, if any hiccups show up. Yeah. And
So while we're on the topic, can you give us a construction update of where we're at currently?
Yeah, so Walt Disney World
here.
is so close to being done that there was points where I was going like just to try to find something new. Like every time I was going, I was seeing multiple new things. But now when I go, I'm lucky if I see something new because all of the scaffolding is down out here at Walt Disney World. Like there is not a single piece of scaffolding on the exterior. The transformation is done. They've been ride testing since the last week of March with the project team people. And I've seen people say it's the same ride. Why are they ride testing? The interior of the attraction is completely brand new. So it's not that we've had this attraction for over 30 years, but it comes down to the technological aspect of every single sensor, computer, animatronic, music, lighting. That stuff all has to be perfect. And they will literally go on these attractions hundreds of times before a single guest ever sees it to make sure it's perfect.
Right.
One of the this ties in with Gavin's Imagineering visit, but right after you guys went to Imagineering, they put the first We Call It Imagineering episode out on YouTube.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, which highlighted all of the audio animatronics from Tiana. And one of the Imagineers in that video, his name is Pasquale, who's a show programmer. And the show programmers are exactly what it sounds like. They program everything you see in every single scene to make sure it all lines up. And there's so much stuff I could talk about. But I saw him the other night at Magic Kingdom, and I was like, "How many times have you been on it?" He's like, "This was number 65." So by the time this ride opens, he'll be on it well over 100 times, just making sure that
that's low. He's still got a lot more to go.
Yeah.
It's and then he's got to go out to Disneyland to do it too.
So obviously we have been anxiously awaiting an opening date for Tiana's. We finally got an opening date. So now we know when it'll officially be open to the public. We'll have more details coming on possible previews for the cast members, for annual pass holders, etc. So we'll be keeping you updated with that. But at least now we know exactly when the ride will officially be open, because I know a lot of you have trips booked. You're ready. You want to know if you're going to be able to ride this attraction or not. So now we at least have an official confirmation on that. Before we wrap up, can you talk a little bit about some of the other things that you got to see in Imagineering? Because they didn't even just limit you to the Tiana's ride Progress.
Yeah, so they opened the doors to a facility that we really hadn't been into before, which is going to the research and development area. And we were lucky enough to see some of the new work that was led by this gentleman, Lanny Smoot, who earlier this year received the National Inventors Hall of Fame Award, the first Disney employee to receive it, or first if you don't count Walt Disney himself, because Walt Disney was the only other person who worked at Disney who received this super high recognition. Lanny received it for his amazing amount of patents, including one of them, something that we saw, which is this hollow tile floor.
Yeah.
It's really kind of difficult to explain without having visuals or video for it. So maybe we'll show some of that here, but you can walk on this floor and it acts like a treadmill, keeping you in one place. And you can imagine using it in AR, where you have a headset on and it's like your experience, or VR, experiencing the experience you're having in your headset. Or you could stand on there and have that move you around. There are these little circular kind of discs that move like a treadmill, so keeping you in one place. Or you could use it for props, that kind of thing. So we did some fun stuff where we got to see what the feeling of like having the Force from Star Wars would be like to move an object around. And then as they were playing with the Force, they pulled out something that was very cool, which was the lightsaber, or the same type of lightsaber from the Star Wars Star Cruiser Hotel, which is only in that case only ever used by Rey.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was pretty amazing. It really did have that wow feeling. It's the same feeling I got the first time that I jumped to light speed on the Millennium Falcon at Galaxy's Edge. And I mean, so a couple of us got to touch it, and I, not myself, but just getting to watch it, and plenty who were just really fired up just to have that experience. And you click it and it makes the noise and it extends the way that a real lightsaber would. And I mean, it was pretty cool.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Seeing that on the Star Cruiser was incredible. Yeah, I think that's super cool. I mean, obviously this is something they have a work in progress. I think that they've kind of said like it's not something that they could use like as a real prop or whatever. It's somewhat fragile, right? As of now.
It's somewhat fragile. You can tell they're, gingerly handling it, but it's still pretty cool just to see that they're working on something like that. And I think there could be other versions of that also.
Yeah.
And then they took us in the next room, which was the R&D teams for kind of robotics and animatronics, and we got to see some of these kind of duckling-looking droids. They're these super small, cute droids that Disney brought out during the Season of the Force at Disneyland, and have these really cute little droids kind of wandering around, and there were a couple of them there, and we got to learn about how they're always evolving and learning to get better at walking on kind of different surfaces. And we saw that, they'd actually had them not just walk on flat ground, but walk up and over things, and they walked up to us and kind of interacted, and that was really cool to see. And so that was just, it's interesting to see them trying to pull off these free roaming audio animatronics more.
Yeah.
And then there was one last stop there, which was pretty cool, that they showed us this figure that had only ever been brought out before for the opening of Zootopia in Shanghai, in the Zootopia area in Shanghai, which is this Duke Weselton figure, which is, or Weaselton.
No, it is Weaselton.
Yeah, I made the correction there that they make in the movie, that he pushes this stand forward and then disconnects from the stand, rides up on this rope, and then you can see that the figure and the booth or stand he's pushing are not attached, and it's just kind of hard to, your brain is processing it like he's pushing it, but it's actually two different figures working together, and it just becomes this amazing lifelike experience you see kind of coming to life in front of you.
That's so cool. It is amazing the direction they're going. I mean, you can just see how this is now like a whole other realm that would now open to them of what they could do. If you don't have to have something be stationary, like imagine what you can do with all this.
I mean, so it's the same team that did the Stuntronic at Avengers Campus, which is the Spider-Man that flies through the air that's not a real person. And so,
my brain still can't.
They're working on more and more amazing things.
Yeah, I will add on to this to connect it. I remember I was at IAPA back in November of 2021, and Josh D'Amaro did a presentation there, and that was when COVID was pretty strong still at that point.
Yeah,
and that was like when we didn't really have like these big D23 announcements. So I was kind of like, what is Josh going to talk about? There was maybe only a couple hundred people at this thing, but I vividly remember to this day that one of the big things that Josh was talking about, and this was 2.5 years ago, was how they could bring these characters to the parks in more natural ways. And here we are now in 2024. And like Gavin talked about, we're now seeing these free roaming robotic little droids in the parks. Like they're actually in the parks.
That multi-directional hollow floor thing, all I can think about is that I could finally moonwalk. Right? Like,
yeah.
Like Gavin said, the way they were using it, like Star Wars too.
You say that. They had two choreographers come in and dance on it, and
really?
They were in a harness dancing on it.
Yeah.
Yes. So they were really going all out. And the other fun fact that they said about this is that Usain Bolt, I think the fastest person in the world, could run on this and not go anywhere. So it matches massive speeds or super high speeds to maintain that kind of center position. And they've tested it up to these kind of crazy levels.
That's so cool. Yeah, that's really fun.
So Gavin, you've gotten this opportunity to kind of be behind the scenes a little bit from the early stages, and now the ride is about to open. Is there like one thing through getting to observe parts of this process that has really surprised you?
I don't know if it's a surprise, but I think I am just been thrilled to see the passion and the dedication of the people behind these attractions. I mean, you can really just tell that they care. You can really tell they're trying to deliver a great product. You can see that they were all given kind of this task and this prompt and running with it and delivering the best project that they possibly could. And so it's, I think, just thrilling to see that Imagineering has great people working on things, and they're given, you just have to remember that they are given parameters and then work within those parameters to deliver the best thing they can. So I think what they're going to deliver in the amount of time they're doing it and the level of quality will be really impressive and a great addition to the theme parks.
I totally agree. And we will get to do it pretty soon. You'll be coming here next month, and we're going to get to
very soon. Yes,
check this out. Yeah, that's going to be amazing. I'm super excited. When we did Tron together, we did Guardians together. Like, what a time to get to, we're getting to see some really cool, the culmination of a lot of really big new projects. It's like kind of a new era of Imagineering that we're seeing in the parks. I think it's just really exciting to be a part of it.
Absolutely. I mean, I know people are excited for more, but the 3 projects you just named are pretty substantial additions that we've seen in the last 3 years. So, I mean, looking back on that, I think all 3 of those are pretty highly rated, and this will be a third highly rated experience at the parks. And it's pretty great to see them pull off those additions so quickly and I mean, so quickly have them be excited and be highlights of, everyone's experience at Walt Disney World. So, I mean, I love Cosmic Rewind. It's jumped to one of my top favorites, and same with Tron. And so I'm sure Tiana's will be up there as well.
I honestly believe, I don't say this lightly, I think Tiana's Bayou Adventure is going to be on that level. Yeah. Like, I think that we're seeing that turn for the better, like kind of like what you said with this whole like $60 billion investment, and they are not messing around anymore.
The figures are amazing, but the rides are really slow. And I actually think that this combines the thrill and the new next level animatronics in kind of a way different than anything in Tokyo does. So
yeah, and the fact that we're getting a continuation of the story. Yeah, so we see what happens after the happily ever after, which is something that we don't typically get to see.
And in person too.
Yeah.
Like watching something on a screen is incredible, but in my opinion, nothing will ever beat an in-person experience that you can feel, see all the senses.
Yeah, that's why we love attractions, and that's why we're all here talking about them. Yeah, like it keeps us coming back all the time. Disney knows how to do that and to bring it to life and put you in it, which is well beyond what a movie can do for sure.
So that's a good point, as talking about comparing the rides and the kinds of stories that we've seen in other rides. Can you talk a little bit about how this story is different?
Yeah, it's exciting. They're going to kind of connect the characters and acknowledge the people in the logs a little more. So we're actually coming along on this Bayou celebration. And so, I mean, if you were looking at the figures in the right way, they would like directly look at you, which is kind of an interesting framing as opposed to watching stories go by. I referenced book report attraction. I mean, there are other things like that. And you say that when you're, like you're giving a book report in school, this happened and this happened and this happened in a movie. The Little Mermaid attraction being a good example of that, where you're watching vignettes and moments kind of edited together to tell the story and give you the highlights.
Right.
Whereas this one will reuse some of those same songs, but not give you the exact same moments throughout.
Yeah, it makes sense. And it's kind of like almost breaking the fourth wall a little bit. It's that kind of how I think of it, where
Totally.
they're now actually addressing you and looking you in the eye, talking to you, which really, I mean, that's kind of like what Hondo does in the Smuggler's Run ride. Like, he's interacting with you. And I think actually there's a lot of guests that don't even realize he's an animatronic because that's done so well. And because it's in the queue and not on the ride. But I think it does like engage you more, but also gives you that realism to the animatronics. Well, Gavin, I so appreciate you coming and talking with us about this. We're very excited. We're excited to check this out with you next month, and so excited for everyone to get to ride this, and we'll finally be able to see what we've been talking about all this time. But appreciate you joining us today. We'll have links for Gavin's work definitely in the show notes too. But thank you, as always, for coming.
Thank you. And I'll call out a specific link, is there's a full write-up on that day at Imagineering that's absolutely worth checking out, with photos and more details and some video pulled in there also that we can include below.
Yeah, we'll definitely link to that specific article too. Thank you very much. Thank you guys for watching and hanging with us today, and we'll be back next week. Bye-bye.